Still spinning.
Oh, Lord. Oh, while I'm on here, let me just thank y'all for the support that y'all have been extending to me. Not just the congratulatory support, but in all other aspects. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Also, we are at FLOA Studios this morning, Black-owned studio. So you have a podcast, you have a...
All right. It snuck up on us. We are live now. So good morning, everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Appreciate y'all waiting on the slight delay that we have this morning. My name is LeVar Ellis. I'm excited to be back in the studio, FLOA Studios. And as y'all can see, I have my wonderful guest, Miss Kevia Jones, aka SUNNI. Say what's up to the people, Kevia.
Good morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm telling you, today is going to be an amazing show. We have just some great things that are going to happen. Miss SUNNI is going to let us into her world. And the point for me was to allow this story to inspire, motivate, and just allow people to understand they're not the only one that has been and will be going through some of the things that she'll express this morning. So we appreciate you guys being part of the show. And as always, I have to thank my show sponsors. Shout out to the World Youth Foundation for recently jumping on board and being a show sponsor as well. Shout out to my girl, Candace Joseph and the Joseph Consulting Firm. We appreciate you guys, all the work that y'all put in, week out, not only with the Reach podcast, but Dad Chronicles as a partner, and also all the things that y'all are doing for yourselves and in the community. Man, y'all are a marvelous team, and I appreciate, all the efforts that you guys do. So I definitely appreciate you guys for being part of this whole journey with me and just taking the show and myself under your wings. The other thing that I always talk about is COVID. As you know, it's definitely something that everybody's dealing with. And I just want to let you know that we are definitely keeping you guys in our prayers and in our thoughts, actually day to day, and that's something that we all have to deal with. So I want to make sure that everybody knows when they come across the show, we're definitely thinking about you guys. Just a couple of announcements that I'd like to share with everybody. Right now, there's a initiative that's going on that I basically we call it partnering with a young lady who's a beauty consultant from Mary Kay. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so shout out to everybody that is dealing with that. You guys are as well in our prayers, and just this COVID has added another layer to the things that you guys are going through. So she's actually making some personalized baskets. So this is a call for anybody who has dealt with cancer, is dealing with cancer, has a relative friend, anybody that you know, or if you just want to give back, you don't necessarily know anybody. Here's an opportunity to where you can get with me, or you can go on my Facebook page and you'll see it. But we have the opportunity to allow this beauty consultant to hand make personalized baskets, and it's only $40 for the basket, or you can donate $11. That's not a lot. That's not asking a lot, but it's going to go a long way in the lives of these cancer patients and these cancer survivors. So we definitely want to make acknowledgement of that. And, you can just inbox me and you can get the details. Or like I said, the information is on my Facebook page, and then the gifts and the baskets will be donated in your name. So if you can become part of that, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. And then also, there is another initiative that's going to be coming up to where you'll be having the opportunity to get your Dad Chronicles t-shirts and masks, and those will only be $25. And so it's another thing, and that's going to go to helping a family that's in need as far as legal services. So all the proceeds from those purchases will be given to that family. So we appreciate you guys staying locked, staying tuned in. And, it's another edition of the Reach podcast show. And this one is called Going Deep, and this is, the part of the segment where we'll just get right into it, and we'll let Miss SUNNI introduce herself.
My name is SUNNI of the Executive Suite and Just Chill Out Yoga. And I'm just here to, hopefully inspire somebody to keep going in spite of.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so she's very, very, very modest and just will not talk about herself much. And I understand it, but I am that person who is going to push. So let them know what you've been doing. Let's talk about the accomplishments you've been made, particularly speaking on this master's degree that you've acquired. Let's talk a little bit about that.
You know, sometimes you just want to be acknowledged, for your gifts, not for your credentials. But I understand. So I have had a long journey of dealing with a lot of health issues, from my heart not functioning properly, from severe anxiety, depression, severe bipolar disorder, and it began to have a major impact on my body and my mind. Not only did my heart start failing, but my body also started retaining fluid to where I could barely walk most days. And they just kept prescribing me a lot of different pills. And as you know, prescription pills come with a lot of different side effects. So the only thing that really did was pacify the situation and then bring about more, health or decline in health issues. So for me, I had to make a choice at some point because the prescription pills were pretty much killing me, if you will. And about 2 years ago, I just made the decision to live. And you don't necessarily realize that you're being put in a position to decide or to choose when you go to the doctor and they give you these pills. And when I made that decision, I knew that I still had to have some type of consumption to be able to better manage my health and wellness. So I stopped taking pills and I went to school and I started studying cannabis, and all of the many benefits that it have on your health. So
that's how you got to it.
That's how I got to it.
Mindful, very mindful individual here. So, that's that. We'll get into that, I'm sure, here in just a little bit. But, that's health, mental health and wellness is definitely, I just had to walk about that. And that's definitely something that everybody needs to focus on. And, I hate it had to come about in that manner for you, but to be able to focus and keep going and recognize, how you can make yourself better, which we'll definitely get into all those things that you're providing. So, I just salute you on that part. And guys, this show, if you have any questions or if you want to input anything or if you know her, just put the questions in the comments and we will definitely address those. Something that we didn't even discuss this morning, but I'm gonna go ahead and put myself out there. So there's products that you'll hear about on the show that Kevia provides through her business and through yoga. And so we can do one or two, the Reach podcast will pay for both of them. But the first person that's viewing the show today that can guess Miss Kevia's age after you hear the story was something that I thought it just was interesting to me. When I was like, oh, and how old are you? And she told me, I was like, what? That tripped me out. So the trivia for the day is the first person, and you can't, ain't no cheating. We ain't talking about
that does not know me.
Yeah, the first person that does not know Kevia and does not know her age. And we'll be looking through the comments. So this is going to be interactive. If you can guess the correct age, or if you're the closest person, first person to do that, we're going to verify some things. So the first person to do that, I'll let you decide what products that you want to offer. But and obviously you'll have to watch the show. You'll have to, hear the story and understand what's going on. And the point behind that is, life is precious, and to have to deal with so many different things at obviously early age is just, magnificent, to be able to be here and still tell this story. So first person to guess the right age that does not know Ms. Jones, or AKA Sunny, you will be awarded some special gifts from her company, the Executive Suite, and or just Chill Out Yoga. So we'll talk about that later in the show. So again, if you do not know Kevia and you are the closest or you hit it on the head, you'll get with us to receive your gifts. That's how we're doing that this morning. So here's what I'm going to do. Shout out to my brother Peanut. He wrote you a poem last night, and it was supposed to be like a shocker to you, but I wanted to verify, and I appreciate you being so gracious to allow this whole moment to happen. So I'm gonna read it, and this is a shout out from my bro. I told him yesterday, Peanut the poet is a very, very, very gifted individual. I called him. I'm like, bro, I need a poem for tomorrow because Miss Kevia is definitely into. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to start saying Sunny. You know, I'm start saying Sunny. So Sunny is definitely into the artistry and the gifts of poetry and all those different things. And so I thought it'd be pretty cool to compose a poem. Well, not me compose it, but have a poem composed that kind of speaks on the life that you've actually led. And so it's called Going Deep. It said, God had a plan for me, but I didn't understand. Overthinking on my own, but he already had a plan. I was going through a lot, even thought about suicide. No one to trust, even was traded off for money that killed my pride. Goddamn people, listen. Molested, a stripper, even turned to drugs. Deep into all these things, I felt no love. Even evil started to take over me. Enough, I said. I have my own businesses now, and alone God has led. Put him first, people, and please don't be a dummy. And from here on out, all my skies will forever be sunny. So it's short and sweet, you know. I thought it spoke to a lot of the stuff that you were going to, and you spoke with him last night. So, bro, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you writing that poem. And so that just is the perfect segment. So let's talk about the businesses first, and then we'll tell the story, because I think the glory comes from when you know someone's story. And you know, I'll just let you talk about either one of them. We got connected through you being the owner of Just Chill Out Yoga. And again, I appreciate you taking your time out. You know, we deal, and you're also a former member of World Youth Foundation. You know, I reached out to you to do some activities with the kids about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And you totally understood, because it was what you used to do. So I appreciate you giving that time. And that's how, you know, we really got started. And then also, I'm speaking from experience, people. I went and saw Miss Kevia, and we did our thing, and it was amazing. So, you know, let's talk about it. Let's get into it.
So I'll start with the executive suite, since we've already, you know, brushed over that a little bit. So with me deciding to no longer take those prescription pills, I knew that I had to kind of create something, you know, in place of those medicines that they were prescribing me. And what I did was just took a step back and looked at my day-to-day. What are the things that I use on a daily? What are the things that I need or that my body requires on a daily, from sleep to, you know, how I eat, to, you know, what stimulates my thoughts in the morning, and, you know, what gets me going and what brings me down. So what I did was I started with candles this time last year, just in the lab being my home at the time, my apartment at the time.
Yeah.
And I started with a candle, and the average person loves a good candle. It's something about it that's therapeutic, something about it that's soothing, but I wanted it to serve more of a purpose, just to, you know, just other than fragrance. And I created a dual purpose candle, and they are all infused with hemp and CBD. All of my products are plant-based. All of them are natural. So they range from candles to body butters to scrubs to skincare. As you can see, my skin is glowing. Thank you.
Glowing.
But it's just a variety of products that you utilize on an everyday basis to better manage not just your self-care, but your well-being, and also your mental health, not necessarily mental illness, but your mental health. So I created those products to give people a choice, to give people an option when approaching their health and wellness, versus making them feel like prescription pills are the only, you know, route that they can take. So that's the executive suite, just giving people those options. I wanted to feel like when it came to my health that I had options, because every person's body is different.
Yeah.
Every person's health chart and medical bank is different. And I didn't want to be told that I had to take this route when it was not working for me, you know, specifically. So I created these products, and we will continue to create these products. We actually have a men's collection that will launch in December. So I'm aware that is not just a need for women to better approach their self-care and well-being, but men as well.
Absolutely. So. Absolutely. And, I'm a testimony to that. You already know firsthand. You just sometimes you never know what it's going to be. You might just get into a slump. You might actually be dealing with medical issues, health issues, or whatever. And you just have to address them because that's a big deal. But before you move on, people say, oh, you tried something, you created something, you did it. But speak to the results that you were getting that made you say, you know what, this is working. So what did you experience in regards to that?
So to just kind of put this disclaimer out there, in terms of cannabis, in a whole, when you hear that word, everybody kind of, nose turn up, everybody kind of like, what? But just to put it out there, cannabis itself is not a drug. And it's unfortunate that you have been informed that. It's unfortunate that over these last decades and century almost that, you've been misled in regards to the benefits, the many benefits that this plant has, for you. But I'm hoping that with me sharing, what I'm getting ready to share, that it just encourages you to maybe research it or read up on it or even try it. So some of the results. So I spoke about the anxiety. So I created a candle that creates a sensation that all you have to do is be present in the moment. And it could definitely help you change how you breathe in that space to better manage or better approach that anxiety. I created a instant relief oil that you keep in the car, in your purse, in your pocket, that you can apply to a headache, or you can apply to tension, or you can apply to, your chest area that'll help you better manage your breathing when you're just trying to get through the day. You don't necessarily have to be on a path where your health is going downhill, but maybe you just need something to get you from A to B. Sometimes we get so consumed in getting from A to Z, not really focusing on how challenging A to B can be sometimes. So another thing was the insomnia. I know I'm not the only person. You lay down and you plan to be asleep in the next 10 minutes, and then you roll over and 3 hours gone by, and you just laying there like, I know I have to get up in a few hours. I created a spray, and again, it's all natural, and it is hemp infused with a tincture that is created right here in Texas, 500 milligrams to be exact. But it allows you to take those deep breaths that you need to take and pretty much surrender to that space of needing sleep and relaxation. The candle itself also helps with skin correction. I have a lot of people that uses the wax for eczema, and I have a lot of masseuses that use it, for their clients. So it's a variety of things that it has helped with, but the cannabis flower itself, it helps in so many ways. And every person that purchases it from me, they're not utilizing it to smoke. It's not even sold with the intended to be smoked, but you can use it in so many other ways. You can use it in your food. You can use it in your drinks when you're just juicing or something. So there's so many benefits to it. It's just a matter of being open-minded and asking the necessary questions, being transparent as far as what is it that you're looking for, what is it that you're in need for, not just in terms of your health, but your well-being and your self-care, which is the area that we lack in the most overall.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's very interesting. I mean, and then, you have scientists involved with you, Absolutely. So it's not just you're so modest. So kind of speak on that a little bit as much as you can. Okay. Let people know you're the real deal. And again, if any of your followers or your viewers, if you've tried this stuff, just put it in the comments, because this is also to get your word out there, which we'll get to that part too about the Black Store. So, talk about your scientists and your whole team you got going on here.
So just to get this understood, this is not for play. This was literally life or death for me. I was literally contemplating, or not even contemplating, acting on suicide, trying to do it in every way that I could think of. This was me going to the doctors every other day for my heart or my blood or, my organs, all of these different things, going to a psychiatrist taking 13 prescriptions a day. So this is not at all for play. This is not just something that I'm doing in the kitchen to make a couple of bucks. This is literally my life. This is my story. So I have been blessed to be able to partner with a farm where they grow my hemp flower right here in Texas, as well as a science lab where we are pretty much right now creating the genetics for my very own strain of hemp flower. So this is me pretty much getting to create a baby and telling it what I wanted to do and what I wanted to consist of, how I wanted to affect people in the most impactful way. Just how they go into a science lab and they create a prescription pill and they get to create the details and the genetics as far as it may help in this area, but I wanted to, I don't know, slow the brain down, how they approach pills. This is me saying I'm aware of what people need and what people want and getting the opportunity to be able to create that firsthand. So it's a big deal. My intention is to be the biggest florist.
You and this florist. You and this florist.
The biggest legal florist, out of Texas. So it's a big deal. It's a huge thing that I'm working on. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. So tell the people how they can find your products and where to go, what to do. What's the easiest way to find the executive suite?
So you can go to the website, and that is the Executive Suite, and suite is SWEET. There's a backstory behind that, but it's theexecutivesuite.com. You can find us on Facebook at The Executive Suite, Instagram, The Executive Suite. I'm very personable, so any questions that you may have, you can always send me a message because I want to know what it is that you're looking for. I want you to know that your questions matter, and I want you to know that you have that transparency and that integrity coming from me and my products. So
absolutely. And you said theexecutivesuite.com, right?
Yes.
Got it scrolling.
SWEET.com.
And it's THE.
Yes.
All right. I got it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So I want to make sure people can have that. They can view it and they can find out what they need to know, man. But that's amazing. And so the other accomplishment is that you're in the Black Store. Let's talk about that a little bit. Yes, it's all about Miss Sunny this morning. So yeah, tell the people about that whole deal because you can get it locally right here in the city of Houston.
So we do ship nationwide. Shout out to all of the other countries and states that do shop with us. I appreciate y'all. But as of last week, you can find us on the shelves at the Black Store. It's a Black-owned beauty supply right here in Houston. So it's just a blessing to be able to walk into a beauty supply. As a woman, I go to the beauty supply all the time, but to kind of stop and, take a look and say, oh, that's me.
That's me. That's me.
So it's a blessing. And right now I'm looking to get into many other stores, of course, that is in alignment with my intentions and my mission and my purpose. But you can find us at the Black Store. We will be there pretty soon with a pop-up shop, which I'll share more about later on in the show. But yeah, the Black Store.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And I know you mentioned about being nationwide. You're actually international. I caught a little bit of that. You care to share anything about that, or is that coming, or how you want to do that?
It is what it is. The audience that I have has been organically grown. Unfortunate in this industry, they do find every way to go about blackballing you. I can't do the ads on social media. I can't promote on social media beyond my own audience because of the gray area of cannabis.
Mm-hmm.
So every person, that has become a part of my community, it has been organically grown. So the fact that I have people, in Spain and other countries and other states that think of me when they're thinking of self-care, it's amazing, and I'm grateful for those people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's an amazing story on why that was started and how it was started. And of course, it was a self-reflecting mission, and to expand that and allow the world to be part of your journey now, and to get some of the things that you found helpful for yourself is definitely a big deal. So salute to you on that. And then in that space of finding your own peace, as you shared with me, and finding that solitude and that tranquility.
I have to correct you though.
What?
We don't find peace; we create it.
I knew you was gonna do that, so that's fine. In creating your own peace, but someone like me, I'm steady trying to find it, and other listeners are trying to find it. You create your own peace.
Right.
That's where I was going with it, and your tranquility. So that moves us into the Just Chill Out Yoga. So let's talk about how that started, why it started.
So during those dark times of dealing with not just my decline in health that was a result of, just life challenges, humanly challenges, tragic and traumatic experiences, it weighed on my mental a lot. And it's not a topic that we, talk about often enough in terms of how the things we experience affect us mentally. I think it's a learned behavior to disregard or belittle the mental health of the Black and Brown communities, because on average, we grew up in a setting to where it's, what goes on in this house stays in this house.
Yeah.
But the reality of that is the moment I walk out that door, it walks out with me.
Mm-hmm.
So it was during those dark times to where me, like any other person, I was searching for something that could help me cope during those times. And after trying everything under the sun, literally everything under the sun, I was like, something got to give. And I wasn't really aware of the benefits of yoga, because we have been taught that, yoga is for a specific, race or a specific, shape and body figure. And that's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely a lie. But I ended up attending a yoga class, and it was just me going to brunch, going to, yoga with a friend a few years back, and leaving there feeling as though, okay, I noticed a change. Something was lighter. And I would go, sporadically, not really being consistent with it, or, really just thinking further enough to say, okay, this could be what I needed all along. But after going so many times, I realized it was exactly what I was missing, because it taught me something that's in the Bible, but it kind of reiterated that for me, that be still and know part.
Right.
And we busybodies, we think we got to be on the move, we got to be on the grind, we got to chase it, we got to go get it.
Nobody want to hear all that.
You asleep when you dead, and all of that. And
the stuff you're telling me all the time.
We don't realize that magnitude of just be still and know. And going to those yoga classes, it gave me that understanding. So all last year, or last 2 years, I was kind of peeling back layers of who I was and who I was, hoping to become. And with peeling back those layers, I, endured some tough things, on a personal level that required me to go deeper, as we are today.
Mm-hmm.
It required that of me. And I was able to go back to that moment of being in those yoga classes and realizing, okay, if it gave me that for those moments, I wonder what it could give me over a lifetime if I instilled it into, my daily life. And then from there on, if I made it a lifestyle. So all last year, I was searching for yoga classes, and you see all the ads all over the place, but nobody looks like you.
Yeah.
So you're like, will they understand?
Yeah.
And I wasn't really sure of what I needed, but I was going for more than just to be flexible. So I was praying about it. And I ended up meeting my yoga teacher, my guru, through social media. She felt led to reach out to me. And from there, it just kind of happened. She wasn't even aware that that was something I had been praying for, looking for direction and guidance. And when she reached out, we ended up getting on the phone immediately, talking for hours. Had never seen her, never heard of her. She had never heard of me, but we connected.
Right.
And attending that yoga school, it was everything I needed. Like, it was church for me. It was peace for me. It was, having the space, or, you know, going into a place to where the space was created for me to be vulnerable and to be transparent and to not be defined by the things that I had gone through or that I had gotten through. And it was the most amazing thing, or most amazing experience that I've had in my life. So shout out to her, to Mitzi. She's my girl, and, you know, I love her for what she did for me. And seeing what it did for me, I knew that it was my purpose, my calling, to give people that option, create that space for people to where they could just be.
Right.
Because we wear so many hats, and we haven't been taught that it's okay to take the hat off sometime. That's the only way you could put on another hat. Like, picture yourself getting dressed and you put on a hat. And
you know why I'm laughing, right?
You have 20 top hats and you like, what am I wearing today? Well, fool, you wearing 20 hats.
She literally told me this before. That's why I'm cracking up.
So,
which hat you got on today?
Yeah. So yoga for me is not just about flexibility. It's not just about who can twist their body up. You know, it's really about being still and surrendering in that moment, kind of hitting that reset button. We do it to our phones all the time. We do it to our computers. We do it in our relationships, but we fall so short when it comes time to doing it for us. So just chill out. It's just that reminder, like, no matter what you're going through, like, you know, just chill out.
Yeah, it is what
even
it is.
For a moment, just chill out, because what can you really do?
Right.
Other than chill out.
Right. At the end of the day, it is what it is.
So just, you know, providing that service, not just for adults. You know, I service women. I do a lot of retreats. I, you know, have gotten into the practice of creating that space for men to the best of my ability. But I originally got into it for children. So being able to go into people's home and provide that service for their children, being able to do the school tours that I've been able to do to create those spaces for children, it's been a blessing, because my question from God when I was going through my yoga training was, what did you need when you were younger? Mm-hmm. And I needed to, one, be educated on the many emotions that there are. All kids are not mad, bad, and sad.
Yeah.
They could be anxious, they could be nervous, they could be scared, they could be curious. But, you know, it's our job to expand our, you know, horizon in regards to the many emotions that they may experience and not be able to explain. Because we still have those moments to where we can't explain in words. So just giving them the tools and resources that they need to better understand their emotions, and then showing them, you know, how to respond and react to those emotions so that they don't end up having fights at school, so they don't end up on ADHD medication, because that's not always the freaking problem. That's not always
going
the problem.
back to those pills. Mm-hmm.
That's not always the problem. Imagine your child having to go on pills at the age of 6. Everything that they could have been, not saying it's, you know, has been completely erased from the blueprint, but now they have to take all of these detours that maybe wasn't in the plans for them. So just being able to create that space and provide those tools and resources for all people from all walks of life, and just, you know, teaching them to just chill out.
That's what's up, man. Man, it's so many things. I'm trying to do my best to make sure we cover everything. So that is definitely a great introduction to what we have going on. But we also have our first comment of the day, and it comes from my girl, Candace Joseph, who's with the Joseph Consulting Firm and the show sponsor. She says, as someone with a disability, I guess, how can I do yoga? And this CEO needs to chill out. So she's aware that she needs to chill out. She probably has 100 hats on daily, but she just wants to know, what does she need to do? I guess call you, or anything you can suggest that she does. You know, maybe the things you told me to do. I don't know. What do you want to share in regards to that?
I'll just say, no matter where you are physically, yoga is still an option. They have all types of yoga. There's over 100 different types of yoga. So someone, you know, with physical, you know, limitations, they have restorative yoga, to where you move at a slower pace. You use tools throughout the session that, you know, helps extend the body a little further than what you're able to do on your own. So it's still an option. Yoga is not all the twisted poses that you see. Yoga is being able to sit there and breathe and be still for a moment. If that's as far as your body is willing to go, is listening to your body and responding to it accordingly, not pushing it further than it can go on today.
So that's yoga in its simplest form.
That's yoga in its simplest form.
Okay.
Yoga is saying my body is hurting and maybe I need to stretch my arms a little bit and take a deep breath before I walk into this next meeting.
Mm.
You know, it's a lifestyle. It's not all the twisted poses. So
yeah,
don't be misled. But yeah, she can definitely reach out to me and we can, you know, see what she needs and we can make it happen.
And she gonna return the favors. That's what she do. But hopefully, Candace, that gives you the information that you need, and definitely reach out. So this takes us into the going deep part, you know. And so she says, "I'm a Buddhist, so I meditate." Let me see. She says, "I'm a Buddhist, so I meditate. I need more." Yes, disability. Okay. Can Gang United. I will look more into this. So we definitely appreciate you tuning in, and you know, I hope you get everything that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
But like I said, going deep. So I like to start, and again, for anybody who's just tuned in, the trivia for today that's pretty cool in my eyes is we want to guess Miss Sunni's age come the end of the show. And for whoever that does not know her can guess the age, or you can know her and just not know her age. But you know, if you're not familiar with her and know the age part of it, then you can be part of the trivia. Just put it in the comments what you think her age is, and then you're going to be gifted a couple of the products that she provides, or maybe you want a therapy session or yoga session, and we'll provide that. But that's something we'll talk about. It's all on behalf of the Reach Podcast Show. So let's get into it. Who was, should I say who was Sunni back then, or should I say who was Kevia as a young girl? You know, I know how you label it, but just who were you? Describe this young lady growing up, you know, from a young age, you know, and how this all came about.
That was Kiva.
Okay.
Yeah. Kiva was a lot of things. Kiva was a rebel, I'll say that. She was a rebel, you know.
You call that hard headed.
Whatever you want to call it. She was what she was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
She was a lot of things. She was broken. She was I don't know. She was a lot of things. She was broken. She was misled. She was pretty much going through an identity crisis of not who she was, but who she was supposed to be. She was hurt. She was mentally and physically never in the same place, if that makes sense. She was a person that was detached. She was pretty much not emotionless, but didn't operate from a place of emotion. So very nonchalant in result to, you know, a lot of the things that she experienced. And she was a rebel. I have to keep repeating that because I look back at some of the things that I've done and it's just like, girl, you survived that? You out of control.
Right.
So yeah, she was a lot of things.
Okay.
But she was the best part of the story.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So what would you say is the part of your story that I guess led you to where you are now? What type of events took place that doesn't take place in the normal person's life, you know, at such a young age? When did it all start? I guess I'll say. That left turn.
I don't think I've ever been normal. I don't think I ever want to be. Normal people are weird to me, but
this is crazy.
It started very young, and if you've been following me, then you are aware of, you know, my story and things that I have experienced. It started with probably the distrust of men, and I say that because there's so many other people that I come in contact that, you know, haven't shared their story or haven't accepted this part of their life. But it started with, you know, molestation. It started with my dad not being as present as he could have been. It started with growing up in an environment to where, you know, your innocence was the highest prize on the market, you know, not just sexually, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. So it started there, and that led to a lot of things, a variety of things that led to me living a fast life really early. By fast life, I meant my mama probably didn't know where I was when the street lights came on.
Yeah.
Cause like this, I was out here.
Yeah.
I was out
in
here.
the streets.
Yeah, I was in the streets.
Yeah.
It started from me dancing at 16, 17 years old, and not even my closest friends being aware. Because at school, my grandma didn't play that. I was A, honor roll, valedictorian, 3-year graduate. But, when that bell rang, it was a whole nother story.
Yeah.
It was me getting out of town on a Friday to go dance and be back Monday in a school uniform, like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
It was...
People really didn't know.
Really didn't know.
Had no clue.
School bus together, you ready to go home and get on the game. I'm ready to go home because I'm about to go get this bag.
About to go get the bag.
Yeah. And it was a lot more than that. It was that fast life, swallowing you up. And, I kind of spoke to that before. You asked me if it swallowed me up and spit me out. And I said it put me in the jungle and I came out with a jaguar in my mouth.
Yeah.
It made me a beast. I'll say that. But from, molestation, from having older men, that maybe you look to as uncles or, cousins or even brothers, taking that piece of innocence from you, or maybe being in a family to where they were broken. So maybe they didn't lead you or make the best decisions according to, what they knew or what they didn't know, that led to all of those things. And eventually just feeling like you were in a world all by yourself mentally because nobody understood, because we grew up in those times where you don't talk about those things because it will damage the family.
Right.
Or really, really firsthand experiencing losing my mind. I think people use that real loosely by saying, girl, I almost lost my mind. I had really lost my mind.
Yeah.
From going through all of those things to attempting suicide in every way possible, from being in multiple institutions and psych wards, feeling like I'm crazy, but feeling like the medication is contributing to that craziness. But just
now, look, I gotta slow you down because you've told the story and you talk about it, but I my show is the Reach podcast, so I'm always trying to reach someone, and so I don't want to get into it, but I want to make sure somebody's listening or somebody's going to hear it and they're going to make a connection. So, we understand the molestation, the men taking your innocence and, using that to their best ability. And so from that perspective, we have spoke about it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Tell me how you view that now, as far as men looking at you and understanding you're innocent, you're pure, and not really about the molestation, but how do you view that now? A man, trying to take that innocence from a young girl, and what do you feel like that young girl should do? And of course, in the moment, the physicality of the situation, she might not be able to do much, but what would you tell her, if you were a fly on the wall and you knew that was happening?
I say those men that do that are broken, and it's not to excuse or justify what they're doing, but we need more help within this country than we realize. They're broken, and to a certain extent, they're sick.
Mm-hmm.
Some light bulb didn't go off, in their head and where they are in life. And I don't really think it's necessarily about the physical part of them taking your innocence. It's more so about the control and the power over the innocence. And when I say innocence, not just the physical aspect, but innocence as in, I don't have a judgment in regards to certain things in life because I haven't yet experienced it, or being able to make decisions from a blank canvas, being able to look myself in the mirror and not see any flaws, or not question how I look or how I feel about my body, or, an experience that I may have. So that part of the innocence, I feel like, is robbed. Mm-hmm. Of the young girls and the women, that experience those things, and the men themselves that experience those things. So in those moments, it really just depends on the age, the scenario of the situation, but there's not much that you can do. Mm-hmm. And, when I was going through my healing process of looking back over those moments, I didn't do nothing more than say stop.
Yeah.
Because you've been taught that that's enough.
What age were you? So people understand how this started, how early it was. How old can you remember being?
The first time, 9.
9 years old.
So in those moments, all you know is to say stop, because you've been taught that that's more than enough. That's all I should have to say. But in the event that is not, unfortunately, it's one of those things to where if it's happening, it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But moving forward from there, whether you're a young child or a full-grown adult, because I have had women, as clients that have experienced it as a full adult, you're not going to process it all in one day. But what you do is you don't give yourself the responsibility of going through it and getting through it alone.
Yeah.
So you build up the courage and you find somebody that you can trust and you talk to them. You don't fault yourself. You don't make yourself the responsible party of what has happened to you. I don't care if you was naked or just had on a thong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your fault.
Mm-hmm.
And, you carry that part of it with you. But you also get to a place where you don't let it define you.
Yeah.
It's a part of your story, but it's not the whole book. It was just a chapter. And you connect with resources. You get the help that you need. Too many times women go through that and they suppress it. They don't do counseling. They don't do therapy. They don't journal. They don't talk about it. Use your resources, because every time you think you're pushing it further down into your mind, it's just like that bottle of champagne.
Yeah.
It's just waiting for the right temperature, and it's going to pop.
Yeah.
And the aftermath of it popping is unimaginable and it's unpredictable. And you don't get to have a say-so of what that blow up looks like unless
repercussions from it. Yeah.
Unless you approach it as soon as you are mentally and emotionally ready to. But don't give yourself the responsibility of going through that alone, because it's not one of those things where, I'll be all right.
Right.
I'll get through it. It happens. So what?
Yeah.
It don't work like that.
And you think a lot of people do that? I
know a lot of people do that. I know people personally that have done that. And it's in your own timing. It's not just something you pick up the phone the next day and, girl, this happened. It's not.
It's tough.
It's not to belittle the situation or the magnitude that it has over your entire life. But it is one of those things that has to be approached. It has to be addressed. It has to be a process. Mm-hmm. And it has to be done, surrounded by love and support.
Yeah. And that's definitely the part that plays a big role. Is the support system.
Right.
It's very important to have that. So, that part, and I know it's been different things that has happened along the ride, and starting at 9, as far as the molestation lifestyle or whatever, you started at 9, and when would you say that part ended?
That particular part, I would say 11.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple of years, and just dealing with that and how often it happened is just the devastating part of it, mm-hmm. And I know that weighs a lot. So that kind of moves me to the next thing, where you got to the point of actually wanting to commit suicide and the mental of mm-hmm. all of that, and you were trying, like really trying. Let's talk about that, man. You were dead set, and then it's funny to think back to when I met you in our first conversation, and you was, I forgot what we were talking about, but just like you said, you put into the jungle, you came out of Jag, but it goes back to, you said the devil himself can't touch me.
Absolutely.
And it's that confidence that you build up over these years. Yeah, definitely try, but you good, and you got that confidence. So what did those dark times look like? How did you, how did you fall into those dark times? And we know that you just made a conscious decision. So speak on that a little bit.
So the first time I attempted suicide was in middle school. And what people don't realize, especially in these current times, the internet, mm-hmm. is out there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't really a big thing at that time. I'm not going to say how many years, because I know the trivia question. But internet wasn't a big thing during that time. We still had yellow pages at that time. We still was getting green sheets, or catching the mail, the newspaper in the yard in the morning. So it wasn't a big thing, but I knew that it existed, and at that age, you don't really know exactly how to go about it, but I was determined to try in every possible way that you could think of, especially, once I got on prescription pills. I tried that way. I tried by weapons. I tried, every way that you could possibly think of. Anything that I could get my hand on that I thought would take me out, I tried it. Yeah. And I actually got mad at, at one point that it didn't work.
Didn't you tell me a story about the gun not going off or something like that?
I'm like,
tell that story.
Why is it not working?
I mean, we know the pill deal, it wouldn't work. We know a lot, but talk about that gun situation.
So I've always been, not necessarily, I want to word this correctly. I've always been intrigued by artillery, I'll say, for lack of better words. So I was very mindful as far as how to use them. So I was confused at the time that I tried to, take that approach, and it worked perfectly fine, but it jammed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I cleaned it and everything.
Yeah.
So it was in those moments where I was getting frustrated with the process itself. As why is this? You just worked. I just saw you work. I got really frustrated in the process. Tried in every way that you can possibly think of. Each time God was just like,
Yeah, even a car situation or something you were driving or something.
So when they put me on the prescription pills, let's just say our tolerance is extremely high to the point to where you got to be mindful. Just within that alone, I was prescribed dosages that could pretty much satisfy 3 people because of how high my tolerance was. When you think of prescription pills like Seroquel, like any of my doctors or any people that have formerly taken anything like that, I was on 600 milligrams of Seroquel on top of taking several other pills in a day's time. Like I said, it got up to the point where I was taking 10 or 13 pills a day.
Wow. So
it would be times I would take maybe 17, and then I'll go for a drive because in that moment I'm like,
this is gonna work.
This is
gonna work.
It's gotta work. With that pill alone, this gotta do the trick. And I would be so mad when I could just pull right back up home, park perfectly. I'm within the lines,
Yeah.
And would get in the bed and just go to sleep. Yeah. So I tried in every way that you could think of. And in those moments is when I started to understand I'm really not in control of this. It's really not up to me. God, you really want me here. Okay, for what? What do you want?
Yeah, what you want?
It got to that point to where, I'm like, what do you want? What do you need from me? And why me? I've gone through all these things. You let me go through all these things. So now what? Yeah. What you want now? But that's when I understood that it's bigger than me.
Right.
It's beyond my control. And none of those things was happening to me, but it was happening for me because somebody on the other end of this, these cameras right now could be contemplating.
Right.
Or could be questioning, do I have purpose? Because maybe I'm 40 and I haven't found it yet. Is my life worth any value?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I'm going to get through tomorrow or next month's bills. Should I even try?
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily happening to me. It was happening for me. And I think when we arrive at a place to where we have a better understanding that, you agree, you gave God your permission to be utilized, and you don't get to say what comes with that role or with that job description. You either get to surrender or you don't.
Right.
We have choices.
Yeah.
And, growing up, my grandma, she didn't play that. You believe in the Lord. Mm-hmm. So I made the choice. But when I became an adult, I made that choice again from my own understanding. So when I made that choice, I didn't realize the depths of it or the magnitude or the importance of choosing, to be one of God's children. But with all the things that I went through, I was like, I forgot I signed up for that job. You on Indeed or something, you apply for that job, they hit you back like, I thought you could take the job.
Yeah.
Like you said you could relocate and everything.
Yeah.
You said you was willing to drive 25% of the time. You said, you know, you didn't need to be micromanaged. You could withstand the heat and all these things. And, you know, we got an opening and we calling you.
Yeah.
So it was one of those jobs where I was like, dang, I forgot I applied for that.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just really taking heed of those things and honoring even the darkest times that you've gone through, because it's not for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's big, man. I mean, and that's just part of the story, you know. What do you say? You know, I know you tried everything. Do you say that the getting tired of trying to go away is what did it, or was there anything else in particular, or was it just like, man, I
ran out of options.
I need to just try to live instead of trying not to live.
I ran out of options. You know, you really can't operate from a place of confusion and frustration. So I gotten so much in my head to where I couldn't even think of any other way to approach it, you know? So I couldn't think of any other way to approach suicide. So once you run out of options, you just like, okay, I tried to die. Let me try to live, you know? So it was just one of those things that, okay, so I know what happens, you know, when I try that, but I don't know what happens if I just give this whole life thing a chance. If I try to live, if I try to overcome the things that I've been through, if I try to look beyond just my own understanding of what happened and why. And if I try to say, you know, why not me instead of why it happened to me, or, you know, just all those things, just if you try.
Right.
It's so much that, you know, it's umbrellaed under just the thought of just trying, no matter what you go through, just trying.
Just trying. Yeah. And that's big. I mean, so, you know, you have the part of your life where you were being molested at the age of 9 for a few years. You lived through that. You know, our own young free will, just being in the streets, you know, going to get the bags, dancing, stripping. I'm sure that was came with a whole lot of different experiences as well. But then also you're a veteran. You know, you were in the military. Yeah. So I guess the only part I'm not is the suicide attempts. Was that after you came home, or how did that work?
Before and after.
Before and after. Okay. Yeah. So, but you being a veteran, you know, I was born on Veterans Day, by the way. That's upcoming. So that's another thing. So I consider myself a veteran as well, just to let you know. But no, so that's just another part of your life where it takes a lot, you know. So so let us know about your military experience, and we appreciate your service too. You know, how did that go? So, and I know the reason why too. Tell me the reason why you went to the military.
So, my uncle is, you know, he was in the Marines or whatever. And like I said, at the time, my dad wasn't really as active in my life. So between my uncle and my grandpa, those were the male figures. So it was just the confidence and the power that, you know, just came with him putting on that uniform, you know, him determined to not necessarily put it all on the line, but fighting for a bigger purpose. Now, I'm not encouraging nobody to sign up or enlist in the military. Let's put that out there now. Not encouraging that, but it was the willingness to put his own understanding to the side and fight for a much bigger purpose. And I was like, I'm going to the military. But with living a fast life, like I said, I would be in classes Friday. I would go out of town, the strip, come back Monday. I didn't even realize the impact that my academic role had, you know, on the school that I was attending. So I wasn't expecting to be graduating when I graduated. I ended up graduating a year early. So it was like, well, yeah, you're going to be graduating this year.
This you was a straight A student?
This was probably like February.
Wow.
And, you know, graduations take place, you know, May, June, whatever. And I'm like, what? I got to go home. I got to tell my mom what. We were not prepared for this. Yeah. So, you know, I had all of these scholarships, whatever, to college and all that. You know, I was able to enjoy that, but I was determined to get away. Mm-hmm. You know, I grew up in an environment to where you walk outside and, you know, they sell dope or they shoot dice or, you know, it's a shootout happening or it's the SWAT team on your roof or whatever, just because that was the trenches, you know, as they call it. And I wanted out.
Yeah.
I wanted out. I wanted to go as far as I could, as fast as I could. But I also didn't really believe in myself, even with all the things that I was accomplishing. I didn't believe that I was graduated. I don't care what the report card said. I hadn't seen anybody within reach go to college other than my grandma.
So with the A's and B's, straight A's, you still didn't think
the A's and B's wasn't negotiable. My grandma didn't play that. Yeah. So I don't care what you're doing after you graduate, you're gonna have A's.
Yeah.
A B was questionable if you weren't at home, because she knew what potential we had. She knew what she instilled in us.
Yeah.
So I didn't believe that I had options beyond high school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't see people owning their own businesses. I didn't see people going to college. I didn't see people really, you know, just really going hard and just providing you, you know, with the options, letting you know you could own this whole block if you wanted to.
Right.
You know, that's not what I saw. So all I knew is that, you know, the average Black parent say, you're going to graduate high school.
Graduate high school, yeah.
Yeah. From there, I've done my job, but you're going to graduate high school.
And that's another thing I'm going to talk about soon. You know, we got to change that. You know,
because at 18, parents, we're not ready.
Yeah. You know, get out the house.
For the people in the back, we not ready at
the
18.
Other folks, you can stay there till you're 30. I mean, as long as you're doing what you need to do, you know, but it's building you up, you know, and we get in our mind, we need to get out. But you need to stay there as long as you can. But you're still working and building so that way when you're gone, you already got what you need. You know, that's a whole nother conversation.
See, life happened for me fast. I graduated early. I was, you know, in college at 17. So, you know, I was enlisted in the military at 17. So I wanted out. But when I got over there, I had a lot of complications, like with my health.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't stay as long as I would have, you know, liked to. It was also the first time that I've been away from my family to that extent. As detached as I felt from my family, it was the only thing that I had that defined who I was.
Yeah.
So at that age, being stripped from everything that defines you, even if it wasn't all positive, you know, experiences, it's a lot.
Right.
You know, and going into the military, especially with the way that the country has been for the last, I don't know, 20 years, 20, 30 years, probably beyond that or so. I don't advise anybody to go.
Yeah.
I get the tools and the things that they have to do in order to mentally prepare you, but they also tear you down.
And what branch were you in?
National Guard. So we train with the Army.
Okay.
They tear you down in ways that everybody can't handle.
Yeah.
You know, and I'll be the first person to say, with the things that I'd already endured, it wasn't something that I could mentally handle.
Yeah.
Especially if it was an individual projecting their own personal unresolved issues and emotions on us.
Right.
You know, it was beyond I'm doing a job or playing a role. It was, you know, you effed up in your head, and now you have a bunch of people you can take it out on.
Yeah.
You know?
And you see it clearer now. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I got hurt a couple times while over there, and I was like, send me home.
Mm-hmm.
And the day they signed, you know, my family had to fight for me to be able to come home because I'm over there. I'm in a psych ward over there. I'm over there hurt. They not notifying my parents or, you know, my family that I'm in a psych ward. They don't know where I'm at. You know, I'm just over there. And I was like, I gotta go home because this is looking, this not looking too good.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm gonna be in a psych ward, let me go to, you know, where my people can get to me. But the day that they signed my papers to be able to go home, my unit was also being called to be deployed. And I was like, oh no. I was like, oh no. They was like, well, you gotta be pregnant again. Well, I'll be both, but I'm going home.
Right.
So yeah, it took a lot, but you know, I was able to come home.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for that. And I would never go back again, but I appreciate the experience, and it helped me do what I needed to do. I was escaping, and I don't advise anybody to make escaping a part of their healing process, but it was what I knew, and it was the only option that I felt like I had at the time.
Yeah, yeah. And that's huge, man. I mean, there's a few missing pieces to the things that we're talking about, but just what you've already expressed is a load, you know what I'm saying, for anybody to bear, especially a young lady. And to be able to work through that and navigate yourself, and now you're just as successful as you want to be. You know, you're doing things. You're doing things on your own terms. you know, and you actually are thriving, you know, and that's the part that I want people to understand, is to get the story. You know, that's why I called it Going Deep. After I learned everything that I learned about you and from you, is that, you know, anybody can keep going. You know, you got down and out, and, you know, at your own hands tried to end everything. And like you say, you realize you're not in control, you know, and so you surrender to, you know, I guess what we say is God's will. And then now you're navigating, you know, and doing things the way they should be done. So what would be, you know, the advice that you'd give to a young lady as a whole, you know, your younger self? I guess that's how they say it. What would you tell your younger self now that you're a little bit older, for that young lady that's listening to you right now? What would be what you would tell her?
I would tell her that she is worthy, that she is more than enough, that the things that she's experiencing is only temporary. Everything that she is experiencing is a tool that she'll later be able to use if she just continue to try. I would tell her that she's not alone. I would tell her that she's everything that she needs to be in the moment that she needs to be it. And no matter what, keep going, and to give herself some grace, and to live and to laugh, and to take risk, you know, healthy risk, of course, but take risk and make mistakes early, so that it can be the building block and the foundation for who she desired to become.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's important, man. You know, and then lastly, you know, I've been not wanting to talk about this, but I just want people to know how strong you are.
Oh,
like,
Lord.
honestly, I mean, it's been what, month? How long we've been like actually knowing each other and talking back and forth? It's been about a month,
Almost
you
a
know.
month, yeah.
And I know of you and all these different things that you've shared. But most recently, you know, I didn't want to bring it up, but we already talked about this stuff, so we just don't get to
You
it.
already been all up in my business.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This is for a purpose of helping others and reaching somebody.
Oh, okay.
But let's talk about Pop. You know, let's talk about your dad. You recently lost your dad to health challenges, and like you said, you know, he wasn't around in the beginning, but you got to a place with him where you said that. I don't know if you called it putting him in a box, you know, but you can describe it, you know, and you finally got to a place of accepting that. And, you know, he was your homeboy, like you said, and then boom, he's gone. And, you know, I could say you finally tapped into that space that you were trying to stay away from, you know, and yeah, being human. And it affected you. You know, you told me about that because I just wanted to, you know, we had the conversation so that way this space would be appropriate, you know, not only for our listeners, but for you as well to be able to handle it. And yet again, here you are standing 10 toes down, you know, 2 feet or sitting down, you know, but, you know, with the jag in your mouth. So just talk about that on top of all of these other things, losing your dad. How is that, you know, what would you say about that?
My dad has always been around. There were times he was not active. Mm-hmm. And I used to be really mad, you know, with him about that. I was a daddy's girl, you know, you couldn't tell me nothing about him, else I wanted to fight, you know, got that part from him. The last few years, I'll say within the last 10 years, we went through probably biggest challenges, you know, being at the age that I was, experiencing things that I was as a woman, you know, experiencing things in relationships and just in life in general, to where his input, you know, would have been, you know, very much so impactful. And me trying to come to a full understanding of each person had their own journey, you know, just like I was going through things, you know, I couldn't imagine the things that he went through, you know, just based off of the things that he shared. And I tried my hardest to just say, you know, I'm not dealing with him anymore. I don't want no parts of him. But that little girl inside of me, you know, always helped me to remember, you know, just how much I loved him, you know, from when I was, you know, yay high. And as I went through my own healing process, it helped me to understand that you trying to the best of your ability is not measured by the best of my ability.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when people are trying, they're giving it all that they have.
And get judged.
You have to understand that all he had may not be all that I have, but it was all of him.
Yeah.
So it's like when you ask a person to give you all of them, you have to understand that it may not exceed what you could give or what you could be into what capacity. And
or expecting that, right. You told me.
You know, I was able to come to that understanding within the last few years, and just truly being able to understand that some people just cannot be what they can't be.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't mean that they can't serve another purpose. That don't mean that they can't, you know, apply for another role and, you know, do it with flying colors.
Yeah.
Everybody not meant to be the CEO of a company. You know, maybe he wasn't meant to supervise. He was just meant to be, you know, that you know, my sidekick or whatever the case may be. Yeah. So within the last, you know, 2 years, I'll say we really started to approach our relationship from a different standpoint. Me being open-minded and understanding that he couldn't be daddy per se.
Yeah.
Not because I didn't want him to, but it had a lot to do with me meeting him where he was, but also understanding that what I once needed from him as a little girl, I didn't necessarily need at this point in life. I needed something different. And he asked me, he was like, you know, I'm struggling with that part. Can I be your friend? And he always did well by his friends because I had to understand he grew up, he had a street life, and his friends was his family.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes it's just a matter of the labels that we put on, you know, relationships and roles that applies so much unexpected pressure because of the expectations that comes with just the label that we put on things. But him being able to, you know, call me his friend allowed him to just be.
Just be. Meant a lot to him.
Yeah.
You know,
for you to just be and to feel accepted, and me seeing how comfortable it made him to just be, he started thriving. You know, he started trying to the point where he didn't have to try. He was literally just being himself to the best of his ability because that's what he was good at.
Yeah.
He was good at being a friend.
Being a good friend.
And
then he recognized his actual role with you, you know, and then, cause sure, you know, so yeah.
He was able to see, like, you know, just being is getting us much further. Just me communicating, you know, me understanding that she's not going to beat me over the head if I fall short or if I lack, or, you know, there's a change of plans because I could be flawed with her.
Right.
You know, I could be transparent. I could be vulnerable or whatever. So I'm just grateful that we was able to make it right. You know, we all have our own expectations of what a relationship with a person is supposed to be, whether it's intimate, you know, professional, or whatever the case may be. And it's like, if we just let go of those expectations and just be who we are, but then allow that person to be who they are, like the glue, you know, that comes from that. And it is life-changing. So I'm glad that we were able to make it right. And I encourage anybody listening, you know, whether it's a playback or not, make it right with people.
Right.
You know, do the work within yourself. You know, as one of my old executive coaches would tell me, do the hard work.
Yeah.
You know, everybody focus on the work being hard, but if you just do the hard work, everything else will work itself out. You know, make the shift. And we was able to make the shift just in time.
Yeah.
So he was my daddy, but most importantly, he was my friend, because just like he didn't know exactly how to be a daddy, I didn't know how to have one.
Yeah.
So it worked for both of us to learn how to be the best of friends. And I was actually not necessarily secretive, but protective about the bond that we built before he passed, because I know that he was known by all of his mishaps and his mistakes. Not only that people were able to see, but over the years of me expressing, like, you know, he did this, it made me feel this way. So on this last leg of things, I wasn't open, not even with my closest family and friends, of the moments that he and I were sharing.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to protect that sacred space.
Yeah.
I didn't want to share because I didn't want to be told any different about it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want people to make me feel like I needed to expect it more than what I was getting, because it was what I needed and what he wanted and what he needed. And yeah.
That's good, man. You know, and that's just a heartwarming story to be able to get just what you needed. And God always works things out, you know, like they're supposed to be worked out. You know, Dad didn't have to suffer any longer because it was definitely health related. And, you know, you didn't have to suffer anymore because you got to that space that you needed to get to. And the most important aspect of y'all's bond was being able to be friends, you know, and it's nothing more special than knowing that you have a real true friend. And oh, by the way, he's my father. You know what I'm saying?
Not even just a friend, but just a space with a person that accepts you as is.
Yeah.
No longer looking to change anything about you, but understanding I'm doing the best of my ability.
Right.
And, you know, him telling me that I, you know, was his peace of mind. That was something for me. Okay. Because it allowed us to get closer by him being vulnerable and being transparent. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, look, time flies. I mean, it's already almost 12 o'clock. So what I would like for you to do, we've heard who Kevia was coming up, all the things that you've been through, experienced, the heartaches that you've had, in the short version, because there's so much more about this young lady. But who is Sunni now? You know, because people listening, they're gonna hear everything, but they're gonna be
confused.
Man, they're gonna be like, oh man, woe is her. But who is Sunni now? Like, who's this confident young lady? Talk about Sunni now.
So I never really had nicknames or anything growing up. You know, you have those family names or whatever. But when I, you know, started diving deeper into my spiritual journey, I realized I no longer wanted to carry all of the bags that was filled with the things that Kevia went through. Mm-hmm. You know, she served her purpose, and it's not to kill her off, but it's about passing the torch and, you know, knowing what hat to put on. And with the things that I've been called to do, I feel like Kevia was always going to have to try to balance out what she needed to do and, you know, who she had been. So as I started peeling back layers, I wanted to give myself the opportunity to approach it with a much different mindset and to just be. And I realized that was going to be extremely challenging and hard for Kevia to do, because you can't erase your past. Right. You know, you can't erase, you know, things that you've experienced or that you've gone through. But when attending yoga school, we did study neuroplasticity, where you get to retrain the brain, retrain how you think, retrain how you react and how you respond to everything that life, you know, puts in front of you. And I was aware of how Kevia responded and reacted to things. She was a hothead, you know. She wanted to take it. She wanted to take it and deal with it
to the next level.
Very much so, to the next level, and was going to.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I realized for what I was being called to do and where I was going, she couldn't go. And, you know, you'll go through things in your life to where God will let you know everybody can go. And I had to understand Kevia couldn't go.
Yeah.
And I wanted to walk in the light of Sunni. And that came about of me going through all those dark times and kind of experiencing some sort of light. And it was that little bit of light that would always get me through. And I was like, just to experience those lights or those moments of lightness in the moment wasn't enough. I wanted to operate from a place of light and live a lifestyle that was full of light. And what other source of light, you know,
is better?
Is better.
The sun. Yeah. So that's what's up, man. That's major. And so, you know, needless to say, I'm sure you're confident, strong, you know who you are, you know, and can't nobody tell you nothing different. So, you know, that's amazing. You know, so I hope this, out of respect for time, I hope this, you know, this conversation, definitely still king and queen conversation type of deal going on, is a series I'm running right now. So I appreciate you being present in this moment and allowing us to get to know you a little bit better, you know, and salute to everything that you're doing. And so for those who are listening, you know, she's definitely an amazing story just within itself. So if there's anybody who wants, now's the time for the trivia, you know, start guessing away. You know, if you've been watching, if you want to take a shot at it, you know, and it may not have to be right now because it is 12, so I'll be cutting it off here in a second. But I'm trying to see if anybody is willing to take a shot at it. What do you think the age of Miss Sunny is? You know, how old is she? You know, and if you get it right, you hit the nail on the head, there's going to be some of her products that we'll give to you. You'll be contacted through your Facebook post, of course, because you make the comment. And so we'll inbox you, I'll inbox you, and we'll figure it out. Maybe it's, you know, body butter. You know, that's another thing. Talk about, you know, you talk about the candles, the body butter. Run through some of the products they can get again from Executive Suite.
So you have the candles, the natural body butter that is made up of 3 different natural butters. You have the body scrub. You also have the instant relief oil called the roll up. You have the Hi, How Are You, which is the linen spray that you use as a sleep aid. You also have our skincare products that I use on a daily. So you can use me as a prime example of what hemp can do for the skin. And then we also now have hemp flour. And we have a pop-up shop that is coming up on November the 1st from 12 to 2. We will be at the Black Store. So y'all should come out.
Absolutely. And I got the executivesuite.com scrolling on the screen. So you can definitely go there and check out the products as well. And then at the Black Store, is that where you're also doing, you got a yoga deal coming up too. So that's the same.
So on November the 1st will be the pop-up shop from 12 to 2. And November the 8th, which is the following Sunday from 9:15 to 10:15, we will be doing a yoga and meditation session. And the whole idea or intention of it is, but first, self-care.
Okay.
So it's a $10 investment. Light bites, refreshments are included. And also essential oils will be provided throughout the session. But there's no age range. There's no level of expertise that is required. It's just somebody who's looking to better manage and approach self-care, whether it's your first time or, you know, your 10th time, but to come and experience, you know, what I have to offer and what you can gain from just putting that self-care first.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, man, I appreciate you. Again, for those who have been tuned in, you know, time is running out now. Nobody has commented yet, but if you can guess the correct age of Sunny, you'll get one of those products you just mentioned. You'll get a yoga session, whatever your choice may be. Just put it in the comments, you know, and that'll be on behalf of the Reach Podcast Show. Just a small token of saying thank you for tuning in and thank you for being a part of this show today. And Miss Sunny, we appreciate you again for being part of this, man, and doing the King and Queen conversation called Going Deep and allowing us to get into your business, as you said.
Yes, y'all have.
Absolutely. So do you have any closing remarks that you want to share, or anything, any last words as we close out?
I would just say keep trying. Keep giving every day all that you have, even if some days you don't have as much as you had yesterday. Give that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So guys, we are closing out. I see a couple people are guessing, so I'm not going to say anything at this point. I'm going to allow a few other people.
How old they say I am.
I'm not going to tell you to watch it. But no, so keep applying the comments. We can always go back, and I guess I'll say maybe at the end of the day or first thing tomorrow, we'll come back and let you know who the winner is. I'll try to connect with you, Miss Kevia, if we can, and do a live, and we'll, you know, make a little special announcement, and then we'll contact that person as well, and allow you guys to receive the things that have been promised. So again, it's the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis, where every show reaches beyond the ears of the listeners. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks.